Newt Gingrich set to open a new campaign office this morning in Sioux City, Iowa. The former House Speaker also holding several meet and greets with voters in the Buckeye State. He is also about to pick up a new endorsement. For more on that, let's bring in Art Laffer, former economic advisor to President Ronald Reagan and a legend among economists. And Art, it's always great to talk to you. You are endorsing Newt Gingrich today. Why are you endorsing him?
Well, you know, economics is my profession, Greg, and I've specialized in it all my life, especially public policy economics. And, you know, I feel sort of like a doctor in a hospital choosing which surgeon is going to operate on my child. And you've got a bunch of good candidates out there, but Newt Gingrich has done it before. His plan is pure and simple supply-side Reaganomics all the way in every aspect, and he's done it, and I think he's the right one to save America, to be very honest.
All right, Art, I want to take a look at his economic plan,
Sure.
And here are four of the main proposals in it. There's more, but these are the four main ones.
Yes.
Drop corporate tax rate from 35% to 12.5%. End all capital gains tax, eliminate inheritance tax, and offer an optional 15% flat income tax federal. But, you know, Art, the Nonpartisan Tax Policy Center, and you likely know this, they analyzed Mr. Gingrich's proposals, and they concluded that these proposals would lower revenues to the government in 2015 by roughly 35%, or $1.28 trillion, and explode the deficits in the process. In fact, a senior fellow at the center described it as mind-boggling. Your reaction?
I think this is just plain silly. I mean, I'm the guy who supposedly figured out how revenues come in, but I'm telling you the Laffer curve and tax revenues are not what government's all about. We need jobs, Greg. We need them now. We need jobs, output, employment, production, prosperity, and you cannot tax an economy into prosperity. This is exactly the time we need a pro-growth agenda, not only on tax policy, on monetary policy, on regulatory policy, on spending policy, all of these. And if you look at that program by Newt Gingrich in its totality, it's right on track. It's exactly what America needs now.
But I got to ask you this. The Tax Policy Center says the top 0.1%, the wealthy, would get an average tax cut of $2.3 million, and their total federal tax bill would plunge from 38% to barely 10%. Look, do you fear that will be demagogued by President Obama as a tax cut for the rich?
Well, it may be demagogued by Obama. I'm not here to give people political strategy. What I will tell you, Greg, is whenever we've cut the highest tax rates in America, revenues from the highest taxpayers have gone up. The top 1% of taxpayers, the top 1%, the rich, from 1978 to 2007 have gone from paying 17.5% of all income tax revenues to 42.5%. The rich pay a lot more when they have lower tax rates because they stop hiring lawyers, accountants, deferred income specialists, lobbyists, all these other people. It's obvious that it's correct.
And part of that is demonstrated by the famous Laffer curve. Look, Newt Gingrich is on the left-hand side of our screen. This is live Sioux City. He's opening up an office there just 5 days before the caucus. You probably saw, Art, the story in the New York Times yesterday. It says Mr. Gingrich now claims he was a founder of supply-side economics. I thought you were. And in fact, on Tuesday in a speech, Mr. Gingrich said, quote, he was one of the early activists who convinced Ronald Reagan to make it a centerpiece of his campaign. Is that true?
Yes, Newt Gingrich was there right at the very beginning. I remember, I think he came in '78 or whatever it was, and was his first time. And I remember spending a lot of time with Newt then, arguing over issues. He was very close with Jack Kemp and was very involved in this whole process. I mean, you know, there were lots of people involved, and when he says a founder, I don't think he says he was the only founder. There were lots of people, Jack Kemp, Jude Winniski, Ronald Reagan. We all were very involved. I've been involved with Reagan since the 60s.
Hey, Art,
you know, this man was very involved.
One more quick question.
Sure.
Compare Gingrich's plan to Romney's, which is less aggressive. Romney would drop the corporate rate to 25%. He'd eliminate inheritance tax, as Mr. Gingrich would. And Romney would end capital gains for those individuals making under $200,000, What do you think of the Romney plan?
I think the Romney plan's fine. I've gone through all 59 points. In fact, he cites me in that plan, as does Newt in the other one on tax savings. And
right.
I think his plan is fine. I think Newt's is better, and I think Newt has delivered before. And if you're going to bet on the surgeon operating on your kid, that's the one you want to have.